Hi, guys. Welcome to Mente de Madre Leona. Thank you so much for being here. I'm your host, Christina, and today I have the beautiful Hannah Wiz with us. I'm so excited. If you guys know, we did a podcast together about a month ago, and we're so excited to get back together and have some more good conversation and share some more knowledge with you guys. And so if you are on Instagram, check out Hannah. She's under Yoga Junkies Hannah, or just look up Hannah Wiz. She is an amazing, dynamic woman doing so many different things. I can't list them all, but I will start with she's a life coach. She also does Yoga Junkies, and you can explain more about that here in a minute. It's so cool to me. She also has a really amazing podcast, and I'm going to read this so I don't mess it up. It's Empowering Vibes with a Z on the end. That's how I first found out about Hannah, was through her podcast. And both her Instagram and her podcast are both so inspirational. I really encourage you guys to get on there and to follow her and to listen. I was actually talking about you, Hannah, last week on my podcast, just about the amazing amount of information you pack into such a brief moment. It's just like, bam, like it changes the day so quickly. So Hannah, welcome. Thank you so much for being here on the show today.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. It's a real honor.
So you have been super busy. I love following your journey. It's so inspirational and motivational to watch not just all of the information that you share, but also that you are living what you're talking about, that you are actually out there living this really incredible life. And I love seeing how you are doing all these different things every single day. And so it's just incredible to not just think like, oh, there aren't people living these great lives. Like, you're doing it. You're making these decisions and choices and pushing through and making change happen. So the one thing I really wanted to start out with, though, is yoga. That's your brand. So can you tell me a little bit about your journey and how did you get into that whole realm? Because for our listeners, you might think that yoga is just like something you do on a mat, but it's so much broader than that. It's so much more. So I'll turn it over to you, Hannah, and if you'll kind of fill us in on your journey and a little bit more about yoga.
Absolutely. I actually myself used to think like yoga is kind of like this boring sitting around stuff with like all these people with white clothes, kind of like the cliche picture. And
Yeah.
I remember my mom told me I should do yoga when I was like 20. I'm like, I'm not doing yoga. And then fast forward, I don't know, like 6 years later or something like this, it totally changed my life. I actually came across yoga through a workout program, which is called P90X.
Yep.
It's very known in the States.
Yep.
And there's one day where you do yoga. And I started to do it. And then over time, I got more fascinated with it. And I started to notice like that it spilled over and had effects in my whole life, because I
Mm-hmm.
truly started to. Back then, I had a job in the marketing industry. I used to work for all the big brands, and I used to do all their marketing, promotions, sales. And I had kind of like from the outside the perfect life.
Mm-hmm.
I was very successful in my job after being, I think we had like 3 or 4 years. My boyfriend, now husband, and I had a long distance relationship. He finally moved to Vienna with me. So I finally had a very fulfilling relationship. I had a big circle of friends that I knew since my childhood. I was financially, like, I earned very good money in my job. And inside, I was just miserable. And I didn't know why. And I was so in my head, and I thought, like, I didn't understand why I was so unhappy, because I thought I had everything I ever wanted. And it was actually yoga and my yoga practice that kind of like brought me more into my heart and to get to know my true self and my true wants. And that kind of like started a journey of me quitting my corporate job and going to India, doing a yoga teacher training, and then deciding there that me and my husband will found Yoga Junkies, which used to
Wow.
be a yoga lifestyle subscription box. And over the time, we evolved, and now we're having like a huge palette of yoga mats, yoga equipment, meditation candles, and we're now even starting to do events for to get people together. So yeah, that was kind of like how yoga spilled, or like how it came in my life and just turned my life around and completely changed my insight. And through yoga I found who I truly am, and I found kind of like my path and my dreams. And so I'm very grateful that I found my yogic path.
That is so beautiful. I love that so much. It's really just so interesting about how you never know until you try something where you might meet yourself, and it can be a real, a place, or it can be, physical or spiritual. It's just incredible how you've been able to change your life for the better, and at the same time inspire others to do the same and find their own journeys. And that's just, you're definitely, you're on the right path when you're changing other people's perspectives and helping to guide them. I absolutely love what you're doing. And one of the things I was saying on my podcast last week is, like, you have this magnetic smile. Like, you're just so warm, and you have this light that just comes out of you. It's so beautiful. I just absolutely love. It's the type of thing that I hope that I can continue to have more of myself, to radiate more of that positivity outward. And you have just been able to do that so beautifully. And so how do you keep yourself, with all the things that you're trying to do, how do you keep yourself energized and creative and have that really positive energy? What are some of the things that you like to do?
Well, of course, one of them is yoga.
Yes.
But I also like in my everyday life, I like to, I'm truly making decisions based on what brings me joy. And if there's something that doesn't bring me joy, even though the decision might be hard or it's like an uncomfortable decision, or I even had to let go of some of my friends that I know since childhood, but
Mhm.
if I notice something is bringing down my energy, I like investigate it, and if I feel like I don't want to have it in my life anymore, then I might, like, I'm trying to get rid of all negative energy. And at the same time, I just really focus on the things that bring me joy. So, I love what I'm doing. I love what I'm building right now. I absolutely, like, I have such a big vision, and that just fires me up so much. And I love to help people, and I love to just like all the things I learned over the years, maybe like all the yogic path, but also everything about life coaching, and not only the things that I theoretically learned, but also everything that I managed to apply and therefore changed my life for the better. It's like my big passion to share this with other people, so other people can like get a happier life on their terms. And I just have this huge vision that people, like everybody in the world, lives uh, like their dream life on their terms. It might be that you're a mom, it might be that you have a farm, it might be that you live in New York, it might be whatever it is, it's, but I think this is where truly where we start to shine and radiate, when we do what we inside truly want. And it might be so away from all the things that society tell us,
Mhm.
but I feel once we kind of like follow this, that's where we start to truly shine. So I think that's a huge thing, that I really follow my heart and what gives me joy. And I surround myself with very positive people like you. Like I just, that all gives me energy. These conversations that we're having, these topics, like I'm so passionate about all of this. So I think that's a big thing. And then other than that, I'm really self-care is a huge thing for me because don't want to I don't want somebody listening thinking like, oh, it's all rainbows and butterflies for me.
Right.
I had like times like because sometimes in this whole coaching world, also even in the yoga scene, like it might feel like, oh yeah, it's all just positive and all just amazing and so on. Like I myself had very, very hard times and I struggled mentally. I was very burned out. I was for some time like really I totally lost joy of life.
Yeah.
But I also learned what tools helped me in in those times, and things such as journaling is something
Hmm.
that really, really helped me to just write down all my feelings and just get them from my head kind of on paper so I can put them away for a while. I do meditate. I do a daily gratitude practice where,
Mm.
like, I really, in every cell of my body, feel like what I'm truly grateful for. And that really helps me on days where it seems like everything is going wrong.
Hmm.
I know, like, oh my gosh, okay, I have my amazing family. I have my baby niece, which I'm just so in love with, and which just, I don't know, if I just see her picture in front of my inner eye, I'm just like full of love. And these
Yeah.
things also really, really give me a lot of positive energy. And I spend a lot of time in nature. That's also a big one for me. And I truly design my life how I, plus me and my husband, of course, how I want to live. So it's been a long time where I try to fit in and try to live like everybody else in Vienna who's kind of my age. I'm 33 right now. So basically, all the people around me are right now building houses and getting kids. And
Right.
I love to travel. I love to be an entrepreneur, all these kind of things. And I tried to really fit in for a while. And at some point, I accepted that that's not me. That's not my thing. It's so amazing. And I admire all these people who like love to get grounded and start like a house and like
Hmm.
family and so on. I want to see the world. So, and I love tropical places and I love spiritual places. So we're moving to Bali in September for like a year.
Oh, so
And that
exciting.
just, yes, exactly. And that's just what excites me so much. And that's just what gives me so much juice to kind of like handle all these things that I'm doing.
That's I love that you say about, that you stop trying to fit in, that, and you say about to design your life, the way you want it. And I feel like it's so easy to forget that we actually do control so much of our lives. There are so many things that we can't control, you know, there are things that will happen that are tragic, but we do have this power, and it is empowering when we are learning to say, this is my life, and I can choose those things in my life, and I can choose the people that I surround myself with. And it's so interesting to me to be learning about having that really positive energy, because it's this world, there's a lot of negative energy out there. And so that's one of the reasons why I absolutely love your Instagram and your podcast, because it's like clearing it. You'll say one or two things or five things, whatever it is, and it's just like it refocuses where I'm at in that day, that moment. And it's always like I always need it when it comes up on my feed, or like you pop up on my story. I'm like, I needed that. I love that, and I know it's for everybody who sees your all of your information. So it's just, and to be able to transition your life, to be able to move, if you had forced yourself to go into, being a mom at this point in your life, you wouldn't be able to go and live your best life and go to Bali right now. It's so, you're very inspirational. I absolutely love that. And so how do you keep that? What is your best advice to other women who are entrepreneurs to, keep themselves grounded and yet be able to have that excitement in their life at the same time, that balance? What is your best advice to them?
Well, first of all, thank you for your words. They truly mean the world to me. Like, this is the juice that I'm talking about. Like, hearing those words and like knowing that what I do affects people truly in their everyday life, which will spill over to your kids, to friends, and so on. Like, that means the world to me. So, thank you
Oh.
so much. And my advice to entrepreneurs, and especially women who have the tendency, not every woman, of course, but women have the tendency to like load it all up on them, is it's okay to ask for help. Like, we don't have to have it all, do it all, and so on. It's totally fine to say to our husband, to an employee, to a freelancer, whatever it's in your realm, like, hey, would you be so kind and take care of this or something? I have a lot on my plate. So
Hmm.
I think delegating, no matter if it's in private life or in business life, but to truly ask for help is, I think, very, very important because I myself know what it's like to kind of like be on the edge to being very, very burned out. And
Yeah.
if I wouldn't have had help back then, I would have been burned out.
Mm.
And still now, like having my husband sometimes taking care of things or friends or like also my employees and so on. I used to do everything in the warehouse as well and all the
Mm.
physical work together with because I felt like I should be there and show all my employees like I'm there, you know. But then the
Yeah.
next days I was just so exhausted and I had to get up in the morning and I had like a huge to-do list that I had to take care of. And at some point I allowed myself to say like actually like they were totally fine doing everything on their own. It was just my story that I told myself like I got to be there to show them that I'm working hard and so on.
Yeah.
So I think a huge thing was like for me to kind of like not have to be there or to do everything and so on because that was truly my story. My employers were perfectly fine without me. It was just me thinking that I gotta show up. And I think
Right.
it's very often, no matter if it's a CEO of a company or a mom, like we sometimes think like we gotta do it all, like everything in the household, everything in the business. So I think a huge, huge thing is really delegating, asking for help, and then as I already mentioned, self-care is also a huge thing. Like no matter, it can be only 15 minutes. I know a mom of 3 kids, for example, does not have a lot of time, enough of
Right.
time for a 1 hour morning routine. I am very,
Right.
very aware of that. But maybe in the evening after like the kids went to bed or something like this, or if it's a businesswoman in the evening, she finds an hour to just not turn on the TV, but to kind of like take a moment to truly feel like to have a look inside and see like, hey, how am I actually feeling? Am I missing something? And if so, what would I truly need right now? And like so often we have the tendency because it's so easy to just turn on Netflix in that moment.
Yeah.
And then afterwards we kind of like feel still empty. But
Hmm.
sometimes it might be a bath or it might be a quick journaling session or something like this or a huge short walk in nature, whatever it is. But things like this, if we choose to do these things instead of like watching Netflix, that really recharges our batteries. And if we do
Hmm.
these tiny things on a regular basis, ideally on a daily basis, and maybe just 10 minutes, I feel like that just always compensates it. So we never get into the thing where it's like, where we cannot really stop it anymore and feel so drained and so on. So
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I feel like that's in my past. I've been an entrepreneur most of my adult life. I've tried to work for other people here and there throughout, and it just wasn't in me. And made great friends along the way doing that, but I did get burned out. I when I was in law school, I also still tried to work full time and run my business, and I was like that. I had to be there, and I'd be running from my business to law school and back, and then getting the kids. I mean, it was such a mess, and it just my energy was gone. It was so negative, and I was very, very ill also. And it was just like, and I never once thought, wow, what if I took a step back, and did any of the things that you're talking about? It just never crossed my mind. And in really any of the businesses that I've had, it never crossed my mind to take a step back and to do anything for myself. It was just always running myself into the ground. And it always turned into, a downhill spiral. And, it's just not positive at all. And so I really appreciate all of those beautiful things you're saying. They are so true. And any woman or man that puts those into play can completely transition, the trajectory of their lives by doing what you're talking about, or having someone like you as a life coach to guide them through those times. Because like you said, when you really believe, like, I've got to be there, I've got to show them that I'm showing up, it can be so hard to break those beliefs and create new ones. So
Absolutely.
let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to read the question really quick.
Take your time, all good.
Okay, I've got this one I've got to ask you. What is your favorite yoga pose?
Oh yeah.
There's so
I had
many.
to think a second about that one, but then found a solution quite quick. It's called Wild Thing, which is one
Okay.
where you like have your heart like very open, and it just feels like, we sometimes, what makes yoga very, very powerful is that our body and our mind are so connected.
Mhm.
So you can easily test it by, if you like let your shoulders hang and your chest and so on, you immediately feel like small, like negative energy. But if you like stand up, put your shoulders back, you immediately feel different and more confident and so on. So there's a yoga pose which like really opens your heart, and you put your hands like wide apart, and it's called White Thing, and that's my absolute favorite one
Oh,
because
I love
yeah,
that. I'm going to try it today. When I go to the
do it
gym,
really. It's so beautiful.
I'm going. So mine is the tree pose. My
Oh,
daughters, it's their favorite too. They love yoga. It's
oh,
so cute. My yoga mats are, they're crammed in the corner because my daughters get them out and they do not put them back where they're supposed to go. But they love yoga. They've been doing it since they were tiny little girls, and they just, oh my gosh, so they really enjoy listening to the podcast that I make. It's so cute that they'll go in there. I'll be like, what are they listening to? Or they'll have my YouTube channel pulled up and they're listening. So I'm sure they're going to also want to try this new yoga pose as well. So,
amazing. I'll send you a photo after so you know
yes,
what to do and you can show them what to do.
yes,
But this
yes.
is so amazing, and this is why it's so important that we as parents do not only take care of our kids and just everything that's in the best interest of our kids, but then in the end we are like unhappy maybe a little bit because we're not following our dreams, or not really our
Mhm.
needs are not fully met because we never take time off for ourselves. But there you see, you being as like so courageous to have a podcast. We had this conversation that it took you quite a while, and you, what if
Yes.
I just try this out? And like now that you have this, you're just the best role model for your kids, and that's so beautiful that they grow up with that already. So I find my 7-year-old niece, well, it's actually my niece-in-law, she's also like, she texted me last week like she's listening to my podcast,
Oh,
and it was truly like, I was so my heart got so lit up because I thought,
oh,
wow, if I just learned all these things with 7 years, like, how this impacts your life. So it's
yes.
really beautiful that your kids love yoga, your podcast, and yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Uh, so you've got a lot of exciting things coming up. I think you've kind of hinted that you've got some stuff you're going to be sharing soon. So I'm really excited. So I really do, like I said, all of you listeners, please go follow Hannah, because you're not going to want to miss out on all of the things that she has coming up. It's just, oh my gosh, I'm always excited about what you're doing. It's so fascinating to me. really appreciate you just following your heart and sharing your journey, because it does take time and energy to share, just even your daily stories and what you're doing, that it takes time. And I just so love seeing what you're doing. So the last question that I had for you is, what is the most important lesson that you have that you'd like to share with our listeners today?
So one is truly to follow our hearts and to like do whatever us inside, like our true inner self needs and wants, and what makes our true inner self happy. So not from kind of like our mind, because sometimes we think we need this and this amount of money, or we need this and this purse, shoes, car,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be, but actually often our heart is longing for connection, purpose, all these kind of things. And once we shift kind of from our mind a little more into our heart and follow that path, magic is happening. There's truly like a force that supports us, and like an energy that, even though we do so much, we just get more energy by doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I would really advise, or my biggest lesson, was to follow my heart, and I would really advise that to everybody listening. Another one is to dream big. Like, I feel like sometimes society, as amazing as our modern society is, there are also some things, such as some people do have beliefs, or I myself have these beliefs, to like not to dream big enough, not to be a dreamer, to be realistic, all these kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had kind of like reasonable goals, I was not excited. I was
Right.
like, I wanted to work in a marketing agency for like one of the big brands and so on, which was not like my true authentic way. And then it was just not anyhow that, like, now I have this huge vision to bring together like thousands of people, to impact the life of thousands of people, and that gives me so much juice. And I just know in every cell of my body that one day I will look like that will become my reality, and that just gets me so excited. And that also gets me through hard times or hard days. And so I would really, really encourage you to dream big and to follow your dreams. That is like, life just changes once you do that. And one that I pointed out already twice, because it is so important, is to take care of yourself. Like, really, I can't say this enough, because our modern society is also a lot about the male energy and like doing, doing, doing.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes.
I myself really like ran myself into the ground by just doing, doing, doing. And um, we're better moms, we're better CEOs, we're better friends, whatever, if our glass is and our cup is full. So just take some time to rest. And if your resting is watching Netflix, that's fine too. But just sometimes step away from the go, 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 go. Take a little time for yourself, and overall, you'll be a better person. You'll accomplish more in the long term. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that is also a very, very important lesson that I learned, and an advice that I would like to give your listeners.
Oh, thank you so much, Hannah. That's just amazing. Very sage advice. I just so appreciate it. Well, Hannah, I just cannot thank you enough for being here today. You have shared so much with us, and I just, again, I can't wait to keep following you and seeing what you're doing. So I will go ahead and sign off here. Listeners, thank you so much for joining us here today. I, again, encourage you so much to go follow Hannah, and to listen to her podcast, and to check out her Yoga Junkies line. That's just so much fun. So I hope you have a wonderful day, Hannah, and I hope that all of our listeners out there also have a beautiful day as well.
Thank you so much. It was really such an honor and such a blessing to be on your show. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you so much, Hannah. Talk to you soon.